Navigating Neva, and I am your host, Neva Nicole.
And I'm Wesley King. Hey, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in. Tonight, we're pumped to have a very special guest with us, Jose Gallagher, who is both the founder and inventor of Dual Boards, a pretty amazing tool that's changing how people learn to swim.
Right, he's the founder and CEO of Rip Current Sports. And for all our audience members, just in case you're wondering, if you're listening to this podcast now, you are number 5001, 5002, and 5003 of downloads because we've hit that mark. So keep paying attention, keep listening because our next goal is 10,000. And Jose is going to start us to get there because he's going to tell us his great story about being a college swimmer, being an athlete, and then turning his competitive mind into his business mind and making this great product, Dual Boards, and all the things he's done with it, and all the interesting components that he's learned along the way.
Yeah, Jose, welcome to the show. And can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and how your journey began?
Oh wow! I grew up not too far away from Wesley in Evanston, Illinois, and I grew up with YMCA swimming. Swam high school at Whitney Young. Go Dolphins! And I was a lifeguard. I was a beach guard in Chicago at where was it again? At Oak Street Beach. Um, and sadly, at that beach, somebody drowned, and um, while I was actually on break, I was actually sleeping on break, and I can remember that sad day. 12-year-old boy. So after high school, went to college at University of Minnesota and swam competitively for 1 year for Dennis Dale and the Gophers. So after that, got a couple degrees, had a career with the federal government, and now got out of that, transitioned into the swimming career.
It's a big transition and small world. Some of your buddies have kids that go to school with my kids, and we see them down the street. It's a crazy small world. Um,
That's right.
and bringing it all the way back, you kind of skipped a few steps in all the storyboarding there, but help us understand where dual boards came from. And I believe there's a little girl named Maya that was involved. Tell us how you transitioned your competitive mind into that product mind. Where did that start? How did we get to dual boards?
Call her Mia. It's a pseudonym. And
Very good, thank you. Fair enough.
and she's not young. She is retired. So she's a woman reaching retirement age who didn't want to golf anymore because her hands started hurting, whose leg would fall asleep because she was cutting hair all day. She was a hairstylist, and she came to me and she said, "I want to learn to swim. I heard you're good." And so I said, let's try it out. And I watched her, and she said, I don't go on my back. All right. And then as we progressed through the lessons, her leg would kind of fall asleep, and I'm like, oh my God. So she doesn't want to be on her back, can't really develop her kick on her back. And so what am I gonna do? Right? This is gonna be tough. This is gonna be tough because she only has one leg. Eventually, one leg's gonna fall asleep. The other leg's gonna be the only one working. She's hyperventilating on top of it, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I grab two boards one day, and I say, this is it. I'm gonna have her grab those two boards so she can apply pressure down,
Oh, sure,
so
sure.
that
Push
she can
yourself up.
hyperventilate on her side. And eventually, when that one leg starts to fall asleep, the other leg's going to start kicking her face into the water as she is supported by those two boards, right? And so that worked. And I was like, cha-ching. It was good money. I liked it. And then I started using a double board method to teach all of my clients. 50% of my clients were differently abled or they had some type of ADHD, a solid 50%. So that my name went around that neck of the woods, and just people started flowing into my business. And I used the double board method with all of them until COVID. And then COVID hit, and I was like, I could only take so much gardening. So I was like, I'm going to actually invent the real thing. Because when you have two boards out there, they're too floaty. you
Sure.
apply pressure down, and then one board kind of just flops up, and it's like kind of like a,
The old surfboard game. Yeah.
right, you're tilted, right? And so my swimmers were like, this is getting kind of clunky, but what else could I do,
So,
right?
how many times did you go round and round with these board ideas?
Yeah.
Well, I was using, well, for the new boards or for the old school method.
For the beginning one, like right
The
in the
Yeah.
beginning
beginning
when
the
you before
beginning
you started.
one
How many times
from
does the
from
board spike up and
from
hit you in the head?
2017 through COVID, I used the double board method with all my clients. Got one of those right here, who's behind you over here. Got her onto the team USA's Para C team. She had 7 hip
Mhm.
surgeries, congenital hip dysplasia. Her name's Sarah Mergoddess Bowfinger, and she's one of our best, what do you call it? Brand ambassadors.
Awesome. So you didn't have like Edison with 87 different variations of the light bulb. You found that double board method, you stacked them together, and it worked for
It,
you pretty
it
successfully.
was always different, right? The
Oh,
board,
that's what we're getting at. Tell us more.
you're
Yeah,
always
yeah.
going to get 2 different boards,
There we go.
right?
Yeah.
And ideally, eventually, I would use the TYR small boards,
Okay.
Peter, small boards.
Yeah.
But still, you can't go really under the water with those boards. I didn't have money back then to be like spending money on like anything, right? So I was like, what would the best what do you call it? The best solution be, right? And so that's the process. It's okay, COVID's hit, now you got time on your hands. Gardening's done. Enough, right?
Yeah.
What would the best solution be? A, you don't have any money to actually go buy a solution. And B,
Hmm.
you look at the market and you pretty much figure there's not a solution out there, right? And so when you check those boxes off, then you're like, well, then you need to invent the solution.
Right.
Right.
And
Tell us.
so
Oh, go ahead.
and so that was it. There was the light bulb moment was you have to invent the solution.
What
And
are
then
your
when you
boards made out of? Is it the same
so
thing as kickboards or it's different material?
it's different material. Now this
And
material,
how did we get to that? How did you get
how
to
did
that
we
too?
get
Great.
to
Yeah.
this material, right?
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
so
Nicole. Please. Yeah.
you look at what's out there, and then B, you like define it, and then C, you test it, right? And so this was a material used by a company called Rayboard, Ray-Board, right? This eighth grader, Nora, decided to use this for her invention, which was a different kind of kickboard, kind of like an ergonomic kickboard.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
There's lots of those I see nowadays.
right? It's like it's shaped like this though. And so your elbows are
Uh,
actually lower,
yes, yes,
right?
I know what you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about? So
I
There we
do.
go.
that's Nora, and we have a little friendship. So she was using that material, and I was using EVA foam, which is ethyl vinyl acetate, which is the stuff that's normally out there.
Uh-huh.
This is called EPP foam, which is expanded polypropylene, and this is car bumper foam. So if this hits you from a cannon into your head, you're going to get a dent in your head. This is tough stuff, but it's super light. You can notice I'm picking it up with like,
I think that's our pop quiz question. Anybody that answers what is this made of, car bumper foam,
there you
at the
go.
end can be entered into a prize to win a T-shirt, right?
Remember,
Bingo.
Because
yeah, remember
to you,
that. You gotta listen, write it
I'll
down.
throw in a couple pens if they got EPP, like the expanded
if they
polypropylene.
even get the abbreviations right.
So these are the boards. I might as well get into it here, right? These are the adult boards. These boards are based on my hands. And then the junior boards are the actually same size board
Wait,
with
there's more junior boards?
the junior boards. That's correct, right? This is the adult configuration. Check it out. It's 3 different rainbows. And this is the junior configuration. It's the middle rainbow is different, and then all the other ones are smaller.
Yeah.
So
And
so
and I think that's one thing we want all of our audiences and listeners to pay attention to. While this, we're going to go deep dive into Jose's product and all of it is the intention. I think I want to take a moment here is there's nuances, whether it's a kickboard, whether it's a backboard. Jose, you really put some real thought into the hand size, the depth of the angles, the child and youth. Kind of walk us through why those shapes are different because it's not just something you strap your hand onto and use, right? There was some real nuances, if I understand correctly, into
Right.
why you made it that way.
Well, it wasn't rocket science, y'all. What we did is we took a white piece of foam. I put my hand in black paint. My daughter put her hand in pink paint, and we overlapped our hands onto the white foam, sent it to our engineer, and the engineer was like, "Okay, okay, okay." Right? And then you might not see it, but there's a little bit of a roll here, right?
Yeah.
And
A groove, yeah.
my daughter's hand like fits just as awesome as my hand fits onto the roll. So I'm talking not I'm not talking about this indentation, but there's like a little wave in the middle here.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that wave in the middle is like just a little slope where it just fits her hand ideally and my hand ideally as well. And so let's see. It's a one size fits all board, right? Because it can be.
And what do you do with the rubber straps, or what do you do with the three poles? How do you make those so that they are grip and firm? Are those adjustable? There we go. Talk about that a little bit. I think that's a great little niche there that
Well,
you
you
got.
got the tubing, right? And then this is a rivet. No glue. So if it pops
Mhm.
out on you, you'll have to put it back.
But it's not destroyed, right? You know,
The,
it's
the
not going to
rivet,
tear.
the rivet
Yeah.
floats around for a while. All right. You'll find that out, right? So if you have like uh, uh, an 8-year old that might be a little girthy, you probably want to get the adult size boards and borrow tubing, right? Like you still might. My daughter's 13 and she still uses the juniors. She's thin though, right? So
So,
she's like a 13-year-old the size of like an 11-year-old, right? But some
so
11-year-olds are pretty girthy, right? So the idea is for the tubes to be affixed so that you're comfortable but not so comfortable. So you want them more tight than loose.
fair. And take us a few steps back. I know Nicole and I are both curious. You've given some great examples right now about age and hand size. If you go back to the beginning when you were first rolling these out or even trying them, what were some of the things that you learned or what were your expectations of people using them, how they use them? Because you've got came pretty far from the early days of your first model. Where was your head at when you first started?
Days. Love it. Yeah, early days. I love talking about the early days, right? The early days model. I could bring them out if you want to see them, but maybe I don't want to go there, right? The early days model, it was just tubing, right? That plopped out and then knots, right? And that's when I decided to, you know, get some business insight from a an organization called the Small Business Development Center
Hmm.
Okay.
and a human by the name of Kevin Fulmer, who at the time worked there. He is now the director of entrepreneurship at University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
Oh, wow.
So, and that guy's off the hook, man. Like, he's like, Jose, uh, well, what size is your hand? What size is your daughter's hand? Right? Well, what's the median hand size out there in the world? Blah, 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 right? So this guy was in gloves, but he also did like earmuffs and stuff like that. I think he did pretty well if he's the director of entrepreneurship. So,
Yeah. Okay. So a lot of little tweaks from the flat to the help. That's
yeah,
phenomenal. And
So
how are
here's
people
my
he's,
using? Oh yeah, go ahead,
Well, yeah,
Nicole. Yeah,
here's my
yeah.
question. So the
yeah,
story with Maya and the two kickboards was a really powerful origin. When you thought of that, did you think that you could help thousands of people? What was your
Oh yeah. Was
I,
it
initial
just
thought when
her
you
and
had
her
the two
leg?
boards?
I wanted
Yeah.
to help thousands of people. No, I didn't just want to help thousands. I wanted to help all people.
Do you
So
find these
yeah.
boards being used in a way, like obviously anybody that buys them, you're grateful they bought them and they see it as a useful tool, but have you seen people use them in a way that you're like, oh, I didn't really think of that when I had the design, but they're using it that way anyway?
Um, that's an awesome question. Um, Let me see if I can answer that.
Because I have the
I
same question.
I believe that I've okay. I believe that I've just about exhausted the uses of dual boards. But somebody, a really awesome swimmer once said, "Have you ever thought of just using one board and putting the tubes like horizontally?" And I said, "No."
Like that's not my idea. I didn't design
Right,
it that way.
Right? Yeah,
right.
but it's interesting how people think. And so the idea is to let people do what it is they want to with them. Now, I don't recommend pulling or using, even if you're an amazing swimmer, I don't recommend you for the first year even trying to use them with your arms, unless it's for learning how to do somersaults.
Yes, yes. We use
So
boards, kickboards to teach kids the somersaults too, so that would make sense.
Fair.
So for somersaults, this is an amazing tool, but it's literally the boards that you're using now or whatever it is you're using now on steroids because you can just do something very easily nonstop.
Yeah.
For example, the fifth stroke is vertical kicking. I can vertically kick forever. Just put the boards here. I'm in deep water. I can do butterfly kick forever.
I was going to ask about that because I've got beginners. They're youth beginners, so they're like 5, 6, 7. And I've noticed one girl is really good, the other is not. So I try to get her to go vertical when we're in the
Yeah,
deep end. We'll do the kicks vertical to build her core.
yeah,
Um, and sometimes we hold two kickboards. Sometimes we put a noodle, like a
yeah.
chair, like arms of a chair around you.
Does it
Um,
work?
it does. It does. I mean, we're still working on her core. It's not great yet, but you get a good streamline if you got a good core. So
And
we're trying to build that up.
and
Right.
I have students in lifeguarding class that are afraid they're not going to be able to pass a swim test and have talked about having devices that'll help them strengthen their skills and their coordination. And we're interested in potentially using this for that as well to say,
Right.
hey, look, your skills aren't where they need to be. Let's get some coordination and some
Yeah.
coaching in.
And
Yeah.
that's key, right? Like there's no reason to have lack of lifeguards. That's what I believe. And what I've found out there is that people are not even they're making it to the day of the what do you call it? I'm not in the lifeguard business.
Tryouts?
The swim
No,
test.
The free
the
swim?
test. They make it there, and then sometimes people say, "Okay, now get in," and they're like, "What do you mean? I thought I just had to sit in a chair."
Yes. Yes.
Right. What do
Yes.
you mean? There's
And
a
they're like,
brick
"No,
at the
you actually
bottom?
have to learn how to sw you have to know how to
Yeah.
swim right
Right. Then
now,
why is there a ring
today."
buoy? I'm just going to toss the ring buoy at them. They don't need to swim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so and those people are actually getting turned away. Well, I say you don't need to turn them away. That's step one. And then I say step two is give them these.
That's a good, I like it. I'm going to
Right,
tell
Right.
right.
my
Two
city manager we're
steps.
going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two
Two steps.
steps.
But I think that goes back to Nicole's original question, and that's why I mean, transparently, another reason we were excited to talk to you because you created a product, you had a solution, swim team, swim training. That's your background, and then as it's being involved, I think water polo participants
Oh
have
yeah.
picked this thing up.
Yeah, do you
No,
have any
yeah,
water polo people that you know of using these or in practice or anything?
Unfortunately, no. Although one of my interns is a water polo player, but it doesn't necessarily. He's also in college too, so
oh,
there's a lot
fair,
of other things to do in college than
Yes. Then
fair,
market your boards. Right.
yeah,
tinker
yeah.
around with these things, and look
It,
weird, right? And,
it happens to all of us.
some people
Uh,
say they get looks, right? So I'm like, really? You're caught up on getting looks?
how it looks,
Don't you just want to get better?
Right.
right?
Right?
But
No matter what age you are, isn't it that you just want to get better at something? And so that's my thing. Well, no, it's not because all I want to do is get my heart rate to a certain level, and that's it.
Yeah.
Really? I don't think so. I
Right.
think if somebody were to introduce something that could actually what would I say make your stroke a little bit longer, you're gonna turn that down? Yes. No, 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 not anymore, man, because
That's the coach in you.
it's too
Yeah.
awesome of a thing, right? When you put the boards on and you feel that water push the board up and you feel your lats engage and all you do is kick, what you're doing is you're actually strengthening your lat, and which eventually just strengthens everything here as well. But you're just kicking. And then on top of it, when you go to this angle
Yeah.
and you still don't pull and you're still like and your body's rising, you feel kind of like you're improving AI style.
Yeah,
So
it's a great analogy.
let me pick it up here. So, if you guys are just joining us, we're talking with Jose Gallagher, educator, entrepreneur, and inventor of dual boards. And whether you're a beginner or advanced, novice or not, he's letting us know how to use them. And what you just mentioned made me kind of think of training wheels because, if you're extending your arm out like this and you're pushing
Uh-huh.
down, it changes your center of buoyancy, it changes your center of gravity. And what you couldn't do a second ago, you can do now. So, that's where I kind of got the training wheel analogy, but can you tell us how to use them? Like I'm sure we have listeners that are still like what you've explained them, but how do we use these? Like how would I use them? How do you use them? What are we supposed to do in the pool with them?
You put them on, you kick. This picture behind you is my daughter. She's doing backstroke in what I call the letter I. She's kicking in the letter I. So you can actually see her hip bone almost. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why you see her hip bone is because that bottom board is in the water and she's pushing down a little bit on that bottom board. You'll notice the top board is at a slight angle. Now her hand's a little bit bent, but it should probably be a little bit more straight. But you'll notice that it's at a slight angle and it's not flat. All right? It's
Yeah,
not flat,
And she's
right?
not moving, she's not doing
And
full
she's
backstroke
not
spins,
pulling.
right?
She's not
Right,
pulling
right.
at all. She's just kicking. And
Holding
so
that
what
position.
what her body is memorizing is the most awesome position, the most awesome kick position she has at that moment in time. Okay? And that's I call that the dig position. All right?
did
So
what your daughter's doing right there is what you
yeah,
call the
the
dig
the
position.
she's digging in the letter I. She's searching
Uh-huh.
for her optimal dig without actually going through with it.
I
There
get
we
what you're
go.
saying. Yes,
So
yes, yes.
Because her
as she goes through that process of pressing down,
Mm-hmm.
the water pushes her up. As she goes through that process of pressing down, even though she's not pulling, the her kick speeds up. And why does her kick speed up? Because she wants to be on top of the water. Swimmers at her level, even though they are interested in Barbie dolls at this point in time, they understand that we want to be more out of the water than we do in, right? If you're
Yeah,
too far in the water, then you're not having a great day. You want to get your body out. And so the boards help you understand what it is to have a body that's out.
and feel that consecutive. And you've done that with, God, I should get some commission for this, but transparently, you've also put this on advanced swim teams and collegiate swim teams where at the highest level, where they already think they're at that maximum
Yes.
efficiency, then they add
Yes.
that next level and they go, I got another 20%, or I can feel that. Is that talk to
That's
that
true.
scale from a beginner feel to somebody who's listening to this go, I swim laps and I use a kickboard. So what's this difference? And I think you've done a great job of showing that you can actually take it to the next level if you already are an advanced swimmer. Is that
So
accurate?
we, so we can talk two instances. We can talk Rob Fox, Coach Rob Fox of the Fox Swim Club out of Frederick, Maryland. An awesome program, by the way. Um, they got a free demo from me, an hour-long demo. And after the demo, he asked the kids, he said, "Do you like these things?" And the kids said, "Yes." And then he said, Are you going to convince your parents to buy these things? And the kids say yes. So
Good answer.
and so they bought 50 pair.
Nice.
Well done.
12 months later, 9 months later, they bought 45 pair.
Are they
Okay.
using them in every workout or in every
They're
practice?
using them in every practice right now. They're using them with snorkel and they're using them in this position, but mostly in freestyle kicking.
Okay. So another
Okay.
stroke.
So what you'll see there is just because you received a free demo doesn't mean you're going to use them in the way that the
Demo was
demo
given.
was
See
Yeah.
where we've
given,
at.
right?
Yeah.
So if it's a comprehensive demo, that doesn't mean they use them comprehensively, right? But maybe there's enough macro deficiency in just the eye
Yep.
that that coach was like, guess what? I'm going to use them with snorkel and in this letter. Now that's just one of the coaches, though. That's just
So
one coach.
All
what's the
right.
other picture behind you?
The other picture is the eye on the back, right? So, oh, you mean you mean like now
There's
Yes.
another.
Yes.
this
The other move.
individual had 7 hip surgeries. So you're going to notice how she is in a more basic position. You can tell because her body's flat if the glare is too much. Is that
Hmm.
better? So
We got it.
so you can tell her body is flat. You can tell the boards are flat. Now, this is somebody who had 7 hip surgeries. All right. You can tell that she's not digging, right? So she's in a what I call a beginner position. She's not a backstroker, and she wasn't really instructed. Right, right. Over here, you have breaststroke. I call that breaststroke in the letter M. So you're gonna see right now,
Your
right?
letters. I see your
Oh,
letters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Audience,
So
pay
that
attention.
there
Sorry,
you go.
Jose.
So
But I, yeah. So I want the audience to pay attention that it's important they hear the letters so they understand the body positioning. Sorry,
yeah,
Jose. I think this is a
no
real
worries,
cue.
no
Yeah,
worries. So
yeah.
the letter M is with both arms down. Okay. Now some people will say, why the letter M? Well, maybe you guys might have an idea, right? Like, why would I have
More
two
surface area.
two arms down, right? Well, in breaststroke, what, especially for a non-breaststroker, me, right? What I try and do is I try and get my hips up. So when I kick down, I want my hips to go up. I want my core to be engaged because I want to be able to glide as far because I know I have a
There you
terrible
go.
breaststroke kick. All right. So you kind of see what I'm saying? So the boards at the bottom, they help you understand what a higher, I call it the base, right? What a higher, like lower body, hips being up on top of the water. It's just automatic. You can see the next picture over where she's just floating in the letter M. She's in a straight line, right?
Yeah.
Like she's got her legs straight. You'll see that she's gliding, and you know that she's enjoying that glide. You can kind of, and I know it because I know Sarah. So I know she because she's a breaststroker and she just kicked and she's just loving it because she doesn't want to kick again because she's not a natural breaststroke kicker and neither am I.
Another
Look at that
another
terrible
recognition
breaststroke.
of you being a good coach, Jose. All coaches listening know when their swimmers are enjoying their laps, right? When they're struggling, and you can see it in their face, in their form. And I think you're doing a great job of all the coaches listening here, all the teachers listening here. When you see your swimmers struggle, this is how you can make adjustments to them.
Oh
Anyway,
yeah,
keep going. Yeah, sorry.
exactly. This is how you can make adjustments, but it's not just adjustments. I'm telling you, it's the AI adjustment
Another great analogy. Yeah.
because if you don't float, you do now.
Well,
Even if
that's
that body's sinking.
that was my
Yeah.
question. When you have people that are fearful or afraid or beginner swimmers, I mean, most of them are afraid because they're going to sink. They can't swim. They think they're going to
Hmm.
sink. So,
Yeah.
how do the dual boards support confidence in these brand new afraid people?
Wow. Okay. And let me see if I can give you a couple real stories, right? I did it all, right? I went to random pools in my neighborhood, and I went to people who were like,
Throw
my
them out.
kid does not swim. My kid
Right.
does not swim, and they're in like a 3 foot pool, right? They put the boards on, and they're just heavy. They're like, I don't know. Let's just say this kid was like a football player, and he put them on, and he's in 3 feet of water. He's 5'2" and he he's like, what? Oh, I'm freaking out, man, right? And that's okay. I mean, you can freak out all you want. You're in 3 feet of water, plus you have floating boards on your hands. Now, he's still freaked out. So you're gonna get people to still freak out. It's not like amazing, but guess what? You're gonna get those people who put them on, who feared water for 70 years of their life, who walk in to the deep end, the boards are rising, and then they're like, I can't believe I feared water for 70 years of my life. And why is that? It's because the boards are attached to their hands. The hands have surface area. The boards have surface area. The
They're not
water,
squeezing the death out of the barbell or the kickboard or whatever they got. They're able to stay calm even, right? Because they're not panicked and they can wiggle their fingers, and if they press down, they go up as
it's
opposed to go down, right?
it's called relaxed, right?
There
This
you
is this
go.
is what is our natural position, folks, right? Our natural position, let me see, if you don't mind, is this, right?
Right.
Just chilling.
Is our hands are naturally open and they're relaxed. Nobody walks around like grabbing kickboards.
Two kickboards in my hand all day long.
So, or barbells,
Fair.
right? And so now the thing is, there's other inventions. There's very smart people out there. Now, but this thing right here, when you put it on, and I'm putting it on right now, that is not going anywhere. Why? Because it doesn't have one, it's got three.
Right.
And you're not panicked. You're not squeezing your hand to hold that in place. You're not.
Well, he can
Uh,
swim, so he doesn't have to hold on for dear life.
I
also
don't
true.
hold on.
Also,
I don't hold.
also true.
I'm not gonna lie. I do tend to like do
Grip
this
with your
though.
thumb or something.
Sometimes I like
Yeah.
give it
Yeah.
a little. So I'm pondering
I do
like,
that with my baseball mitt too. I still grab with my
you know what
pointer
I'm
finger.
saying? Like
Yeah.
I'm pondering, but ideally I probably want to be here anyway, and I want to be applying some pressure with my thumb on top too. But I do this sometimes.
Well, so while you have that, keep that back up for the audience.
Yeah.
You said earlier you wouldn't recommend swimming with these until you've been doing them for a year. So are
No, yeah,
advanced
don't use them.
swimmers,
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
don't
do
use
they ever
them.
use them?
Yeah, you can, right? Right. So what do I do with them, right? When early stage, I knew this is a kickboard, but then eventually I'm like, my daughter needs to learn how to do a flip turn, and I'm like, oh, what? This is going to be your rock and roll star for a flip turn, right?
Yeah.
And then right, because you have two, you can
Yeah.
flip from different letters. I call this the letter H. So you can
Keep
kick
listening,
letter
audience. Another letter. Keep going. Oh, this
You
is
can
great.
kick in
Sorry.
the letter H, and
I
then
love
you
it.
can drop that letter H, and that would be your more right. You can go from the letter I. You can right.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't want you to pound here and go after it with your arms, right? So that's what I did early stage was just kind of massage the turn, just so I learned because you eventually have to push that wall, and most people are gonna push it hard and then you're gonna you don't want to hurt your shoulder on the way like trying to get into a streamline and stuff like that. So that's flip turn. I have never used these as paddles, and so what I do, meaning
It's a great note, by the
I
way.
do not ever try because there's a lot of smart inventions out there. I'm not trying to compete with those inventions. The paddle is an ingenious invention. These are kickboards. So what I do for like one of my videos, a woman by the name of Celine, all right, uh, also retired, right? We have her on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon, you'll see a video of Celine. If you go to our Instagram, you'll
Oh
see
yeah.
Celine. So she's kicking, and then when she's in the letter I, she's very happy because she's got a 1 year kick for somebody who's started swimming at the age of 66. So when she was like 67, I took this video and she's still scared. Like her legs are scared, but she's by herself after, 67 years of never knowing how to swim. So Celine is like, right, she's good in the letter I. Then as soon as she transitions to the letter H, she slides the board to the letter H. And as soon as she starts sliding that board to the letter H, you can see her body drop. because she doesn't have a developed kick.
Yeah.
But
Her head doesn't drop.
what exactly? And she has a kick. And guess what she knows to do next? Slide the board back so
Hmm.
that she can get her breath and her body rises to the board,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then she slides. That's called independence, y'all. People who haven't swum for 65 years, do you think they want to go to a coach and be like, Coach, a lot of them don't, right? A lot of
No.
them need a
From
tool and they need to train with the tool for a year before they even talk to the coach and say, I can't believe that I'm coming to you at the age of 67.
what's our
So,
Whatever.
friend Phil say? If their head's above water, they can't drown, right? So
yeah.
yeah.
So here's what I'm going to bring to this, and you can tell me your feelings on this. But I've been doing lifeguarding for like the last month now, and I'm not going to tell you how many seconds because everybody listening can go back and listen to Wesley and I's video
Well
on the
played.
prereqs for lifeguarding. But on the shallow water, the lifeguarding test, the swim test, the brick test, the time test is a lot shorter than regular lifeguarding. And what I found, and I thought it was funny when I found it out, and now that I know, I should have known better. But you always think front crawl is the fastest stroke, and it is. I mean, aside from butterfly, but the flutter kick is never the fastest when they're coming back. Now this is inverted, so you're on your back. So the inverted breaststroke kick is the best kick. And when we're talking about lifeguard saves, like rescues, Coast Guard, the Marines that come to your pool and practice, they're doing that whip kick or that side kick. But all of my beginners need to practice or build muscle on their back. And especially with the men, their center of gravity and their center of buoyancy
Oh,
is different. So these boards on their back, not with flutter, but with the other kicks, help them build to pass those tests. Because I mean, it's like, I mean, they're failing the test or it's a hairline and they get one more
hmm.
chance and that's it. But that's where they need to do the conditioning or the
And they've never done that physical behavior either. So
right.
not
Because
only is
when do
it
you
this,
do that? We don't
right,
ever do it.
on my back with restricted to that kick while having a weight or a float on top of me or a human on top of me. So this is that trial run and then training and then practice so that you've experienced it and experienced it in a safe way. So in lifeguarding class, hey, I can throw these on my hands and I can teach people how to do this behavior so that you can then do it and not I don't have to save you while I'm teaching how to be a lifeguard.
Yeah, they're going to be training wheels for my classes at the city because we're training
Hmm.
guards that just failed the class. And I said, well, don't give up. Don't
Yeah.
give up. Come to the pool and
And
practice.
those
We'll do
football
UCD.
players, muscle weight sinks fatter than fat, right? So those football players and those wrestlers. I mean, I'm serious. I know a lot of skinny wrestlers that sink to the bottom of the pool, right? Because they're all muscle. Well,
Yeah.
now this can get some buoyancy, get some coordination, get some technique down, and we can get through it. Yeah, great,
Trying to
great,
think of
great point.
something. Y- y-
So
y-
where can our listeners find these? Where do they get them? Where do they find them?
Mm.
You get them at
I know now because I got the text message. But you tell us.
Yo,
you get them at ripcurrentsports.com. So it's RIPCURRENT right back here, ripcurrentsports.com.
there we
Also
go.
on Amazon.
Also on
All right.
Amazon. Check
Which
us
is a
out.
big, big step. Now, I
Big
know
step.
Jose doesn't love to brag about himself, but I will start it and see if he'll finish it. Most recently, to your point of also being on Amazon, were you not featured in a potential award and got to do a big presentation for the?
Presentation. Yeah, I did a presentation at Maryland Live Casino.
There we go,
That
right?
was that was the biggest audience that I've been in front of, but I've done multiple presentations like that.
Right.
Um, um, it's about getting the word out. It's not about
And
selling. It's about
that's
letting
kind of
people
why,
know. It's about letting people know that you can swim. It's
right.
about letting people know that there's something that's going to help you swim faster.
So
That's
where will
it.
And
you be
safer
next?
and safer.
And safer. And for you guys and for me, but more you guys, right? It's about safety, right? And I don't think like that, right? Just having been a competitive swimmer, but safety's it was huge for Mia as well, right? For Mia, right? Like
Yeah.
she needed to be safe, and it's tough to feel safe if you're about to retire and you never learned, and your leg's about to fall asleep on you, like how do you feel safe?
in the water, right? Or you
Right.
don't know your coaches, and but yeah, that's why I brought up your most recent engagements because again, that's why another reason why you're here is yes, it's a product, and yes, we want people to buy it, but also your message behind it is a little more than that. And I think that's why
Right.
Nicole and I value our relationship with you, but also your mission with this. So anyway,
That's why I
yeah.
do it. That's why I do those presentation type things. You know, I'm pitching for money, right? But when there's literally you've read material. There, half of the United States cannot swim in a to save themselves. Half. That's 107. So if people say, "Yeah, I can swim," there's a good amount of people that are lying to you, including all the people who want to be right, including
Some are just
parents.
lying to themselves though. Like they
Right, right.
think they
It's a double
Yes,
can,
fold.
and then
Yeah.
you get in and
correct.
you're like, that's not swimming. Like this is the last person I had. We did the lifeguard swim test, and the kid says to me, because there was swim practice going on at the same time at the club we were at, and
Oh.
there's 4 or 5 lanes of competitive swimmers swimming. He says, I don't swim like that. I've never swam like that. And I'm thinking, well, we are about to swim. Like, I hope you put your face
It's
in and
gonna
swim
happen
because
now.
that's how we're gonna swim. I'm like,
Yeah.
please don't tell me that. That's not what I want to hear right before it's
Right.
your turn to jump in.
But that kind of proves our point is that realization does it can you really swim? And if you can't, how can we help you get there? Whether it's coordination, technique, safety, and again, Nicole, knowing you're in the middle with teaching and teaching lifeguarding, teaching, and I think you saw multiple approaches to this. I've known Jose for a while and saw multiple approaches to this. My wife uses it. I've seen lifeguards use it, and being able to understand its diversity and then the purpose behind it, I think, just ties it up nicely. So anyway, go ahead, Nicole. I know you had a couple other
Well, I was gonna
pieces
say,
there.
no, I think dual boards is the answer. You said, how do we get there? And dual boards is how we get there. Because I'm
Yeah,
gonna go back again. Sure, he didn't intend for this, but I'm gonna sell it here that they're training wheels. I mean, you can use them when
good.
you're more
Yeah.
advanced, but they're definitely helpful when you're afraid.
That's a great. We should have Institute of Aquaphobia connect with these guys with you. Um, Another
These-
piece there. Yeah.
I go back to these every day. I go back to them every day. My daughter herself had heart surgery, so her shoulders are
Oh,
in here
down.
like
Yes,
that. And
Oh,
so
yes.
the dual boards help her like combat that. And that's a fight that she's not going to win. You
and
know,
that's very
it's
personal.
it's
You've talked about that for a long time.
it's something that there's a scar tissue there. So it's a battle. It's a constant battle, right? There's
Yeah.
uh it's just not easy, right? Like when the shoulders are there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So dual boards are helping me help her be happy, improving. They're gonna help your lifeguards learn. They're gonna help your programs,
Yeah.
right?
I don't know if Mark Cuban just quit Shark Tank, but if anybody else is listening to Shark Tank, let's cut that little promo and send it to them. One, it's a personal story, but two, you can't use dual boards wrong. Your daughter has to use dual boards in
You
the manner
can't.
it's going to keep her shoulders apart.
You,
Mia is going to use it. It's not like a kickboard that's going to flop up and kick you in the face. It's not a paddle. It's not trying to replace that. It's just a product and a mission that really serves dual and multiple purposes.
there you go.
So
Yeah.
well played. Anyway,
Well,
yeah,
Jose, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Your passion and your invention and your story was really inspiring for me. I'm sure our viewers loved it too.
You're
Um,
so welcome.
yes.
absolutely.
And we will tag you. Those of you listening and driving, please don't look stuff up while you're driving. I listen when I'm driving to Spotify, but we will put it on the Navigating Neva website. So Jose will give us his links. That way you can go and find where you're going to find or buy these. So you can always go to our Facebook page and find Jose. You can go to our website and it'll link you to him, and you can get your pair.
And
Thank you
don't
so
forget to
much.
send in what is the dual board made of, so you can be entered to win a prize packet. And I know Jose will see you with the All Things Aquatics event coming up in September. You're gonna be a part of that in some way, shape, and form. So we're excited there too. And absolutely, yes, everybody, thank you for listening.
Yep. All right, guys, have a safe summer. I want zero drownings. And until next time, stay safe and keep making waves. Goodbye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.